Hello, listeners of Ideas RS. Back again with your HR consultants. My name is Vivian, and I am here with my team members, Michael, Jeremy, Emma, and Brayden. In today's podcast episode, we are going to be discussing a special case on performance management. So, what really is performance management? To put it simply, performance management refers to the HR practice or process through which managers ensure that employees' activities and outputs contribute to the organization's goals. This includes understanding and identifying desired activities from which organizations form standards of performance that are used to measure and manage actual performance. In today's case, the CEO has asked us to choose an appropriate appraisal system for the company. We are required to make two decisions: the appraiser of the system and the method used. Under appraiser, we have four options: the supervisor, supervisors and subordinates, supervisor and self, or all supervisors, subordinates, and self. Under method, we have four types of methods to choose from: graphic rating scale, checklist rating scale, essay method, and behaviorally anchored rating scale, or also known as BARS. My team members will now dive deeper into these different options and then let you know our chosen course of actions, so stay tuned.
In our case, we have two different decisions that can be made. One is the appraiser, and the second is the appraisal option. In this case, the appraiser, there's three different variables. There is the supervisor, which is the overseer of the manager that the report is being done on, subordinates, which are the workers underneath the manager, and third is the manager themselves, referred to as self. In our options, we have the first one, which is the supervisor, which the only report is done by the person that oversees the manager, and it doesn't offer the viewpoints of the people underneath him or the manager themselves. Second is supervisor and subordinates, which include the workers this time, but there is not a holistic view as there's no reflection from the manager to compare to. Third is the supervisor himself, which allows the reflection to be taken into consideration along with the supervisor's report, but doesn't have room for subordinates options. The last one is all three categories: supervisor, subordinates, and self, and allows for a complete holistic view of the manager's performance.
We were given four options for appraisal methods to choose from: the graphic rating scale, the checklist rating scale, the essay method, and the behaviorally anchored rating scales. The graphic rating scale is where the evaluator would evaluate specific behaviors or job characteristics and rate them on a score of 0 to 10. This method allows for fair comparison amongst workers as behaviors are quantified. However, the scores are highly subjective and the evaluator may not accurately reflect an employee's performance. Secondly, we have the checklist rating scale, where the evaluator will check on a list behavior and performance-related statements that apply to an employee. Scores are then computed by adding the number of check marks an employee receives. While this method does promote objectivity, it doesn't allow the evaluator to deliver a detailed explanation of the employee's performance. Thirdly, we have the essay method, where the evaluator describes the performance in his or her own words. This method allows for more detailed and personal evaluation. However, it is more subjective as the evaluation solely depends on the evaluator's opinion of the employee's performance. Finally, we have the behaviorally anchored rating scales, where the rater selects statements that best match an employee's behavior. Different behaviors have different scores. Checking a positive statement for an employee will result with a high score, and having a negative statement checked would result in a low score.
In responding to the incidents, our chosen appraiser and method recommendation would be: appraiser should include supervisor, subordinate, and self, and the method would be behaviorally anchored rating scale, BARS. The reason why we chose this option is because appraiser, including supervisor, subordinate, and self in the incident, will help the company to ensure everyone's opinions are considered and reduce bias over one another. Three individuals can know what is expected of them and how they can meet the expectation. For the BAR methods, it tends to be more favorable due to its high relevance to the specific job and easier to compare performance among employees. It satisfies the validity and specificity for effective performance measure. It measures all the relevant aspects of the performance, including the quantitative measure, and irrelevant performance aspect, and help performance management meet the goal of supporting strategy. We're also looking at the alternative choice, but we are not choosing it because for appraiser, supervisor only can like the viewpoint of the worker that reported to him. Supervisor and a subordinate can only account for the external view of the manager. It's also important to have the reflection of the manager to gather what manager specify. And for the supervisor himself, the issue of this opinion's view of the worker on the manager once again being ignored and not considered. For the method, we look at the graphic rating scale. The score given only are highly dependent on the evaluator, so the score might not accurately reflect employee performance. Also, there's no further explanation for the score given. The checklist rating scale is also similar to graphic rating scale. The total number checked given by the rater. This method promotes objectivity as statements are already written, so there's no further explanation given by the rater. And for the essay method, it's very subjective, as evaluation solely rely on the evaluator opinions and perspective of the other person's performance. So it's really making it difficult to compare employee as no score or rating are given. We're also looking at the primary outcome matrix, assessed with 3 outcomes including morale, productivity, and turnover rate, most likely affected by the decision made in performance appraisal incident. Since the performance appraisal system has strong influence on morale, productivity, and grievances that directly link to turnover rate. Right application of performance appraisal can increase morale, productivity, and lower turnover rate. The company can save new hiring costs, compensation, along with yielding more morale in long term. And according to our HR department, by the end of quarter 4, we have reached a morale score of 67 over 100, an increase from 50 over 100. And then we have a decrease in turnover rate by 3.2 from 9.8. And the productivity has not increased in a starting point of 200 units per employee.
Like every newly implemented system, it may temporarily yield unsatisfying results. Employees that are not used to providing feedback, giving themselves feedback, and receiving feedback, and using the VARS method might experience awkwardness about the system at first. However, after time, employees will eventually become more comfortable with the system, which will then yield stronger results. How this solution will impact the firm in the long run is that it will strengthen the firm's company culture through a system of more accurate accountability and feedback, as this solution ensures that everyone's opinions are considered and feedback is accurate. In conclusion, the employees that should be included in the appraisal system are the supervisors, subordinates, and oneself, because this ensures everyone's opinions are considered and reduces bias. Furthermore, the behaviorally anchored rating scales appraisal method ensures that feedback is useful because it's specific to the job and easier to compare performance among employees. Thank you for listening.